Hi guys, I thought I would try something new today, so instead of cooking, today we're going to do a book review over something I just recently read for the first time. Hopefully this goes over well. Also, this review is going to be spoiler free, so if you've never even heard of the Dresden Files before, you're still going to be able to get something out of this, and it won't give anything away from the book. Stormfront by Jim Butcher, a spoiler-free review. At the height of the Harry Potter craze that hooked both children and adults, we were looking for something that would fill that void in those of us who were older. While the young adult genre was booming with new books for the people that were of the age for Harry Potter, for adults there was nothing that blended that real world and magical world together in quite the same way. Then in 2000, Jim Butcher comes out and brings us Stormfront, the first book in the Dresden Files. This book is a seamless blend of the real world and magical world that is really easy to digest and is a really quick read. Alright, so far there are 16 of these books, so it was kind of inevitable that eventually I would go about reading them. Especially considering several years ago I had watched the TV show called The Dresden Files that is basically this, but kind of not this, starring Paul Blackthorne, who you guys might know as Captain Lance from The Era. Now, having finally read some of these books, I realize that the show is not the greatest representation of what The Dresden Files is, but it's still a starting point, and it gets you somewhere. Now, there are already 16 of these books out, with one more coming out soon. Alright, so Harry Dresden is Chicago's one and only wizard in the phone book. He often teams up with Karen Murphy of the Chicago PD to find out and to help solve some of their more, let's say, supernatural or unusual cases. In this first book, Harry uses pizza to meet a fairy, takes on a mob boss, and tries to solve a double murder, all while proving that it's not him that's actually doing these things. If you guys ever watched the show Supernatural, it's like Supernatural meets an old school murder mystery. It has this soft magic system that doesn't go out of its way to really explain itself in a whole ton of detail, but it does give you just enough information that you kind of understand how it works too. Alright, so we're going to start with the negatives. The biggest downside for me of this whole thing was the sheer number of books there are and figuring out where to start. This series has been going on since 2000 and I'm just starting it in 2020. So when you go to buy these books in store brand new, they don't have this little book one of the Dresden Files at the bottom anymore. In fact, this same book at my local Barnes & Noble didn't have that, but I got lucky when I went to the used bookstore down the road, and they did have that on there, so I could finally figure out where to start. And I have been wanting to start this series for quite a long while. The only other really big downside to this book is that it has to give you a ton of information in just a few pages. Here, let me be a little bit more. So there are only 322 pages in this, and they're not very big pages, as you can see. And it has a ton of information to give, a lot of that being because it's the first book in a series, and I get that. But still, it was a lot to unpack in a short amount of time. Alright, so if you have made it this far, go ahead and smash that like button, and maybe even click the subscribe button too. That goes a long way to help me with the YouTube algorithm. Alright, so now on to the really good stuff, and there's quite a bit to talk about here. I'm going to start with just the characters. You have Harry Dresden, who is this really relatable late 20s, early 30s guy who's just trying to make it with what he has. And then you have Karen Murphy, this strong police detective, and she is everything you want in a strong female character who can take care of herself and obviously had to work for what she's got. One of the other really cool things about this book is the writing style. It really feels more like a conversation than like you're reading a book. kind of like sitting down with your dad or your grandpa and they're telling you stories about what they went through. But instead of, going to school uphill both ways in the snow, in the middle of the summer, it's Harry Dresden telling you about what he's doing right now on this case and what he's going through and what he sees. And maybe he'll tell you what he sees, but he won't notice that necessarily that he sees it as important information. So it's something that might come to help you later in classic mystery novel style. Another really good thing that applies to this, and especially after this first one, seeing as I've read several of them already, is that these guys are, once again, really short. So it's a lot easier to read. There's not excess descriptions. So what descriptors he uses are impactful into the situation. It's not just pages upon pages of describing something. So it's a little bit better if you're needing a break from some of your bigger books. The last really big positive thing I want to talk about is how much I wanted to move on to the next one after I finished this first one, which is a big deal for books for me. There is so much to this world that you can tell just by going through what's already there. You can see that there's more to each and every one of these characters you're getting introduced to. And that just makes you want to read the next book. And it's been a long while since I've had something that is just that engaging. So would I recommend this book to people? Of course, I would recommend this book to people. If you like Harry Potter or the show Supernatural, and you are looking for something to read that's going to get you into books again, this is the way to go. It's this nice blend of low fantasy where it's set in our own world, but there's still magic, there's still creatures, there's still all of these things that make it something different, but it's not exactly horror. It's not even really so much murder mystery, even though there is somebody who's killing people. It's more about the character relations than it is solving the murder. And solving the murder is not just because, oh, I need to solve the murder, but because I need to solve the murder to prove that I didn't do it, kind of thing. And that makes these really worth reading. So here's the deal. I read the first 6 of these books in 3 weeks. They were that good. I am waiting on number 7 from either my library or the ebook library to have it, because let's face it, I am not made out of money. I got to get my free books where I can get my free books. Alright, so I have to go ahead and rate this book a good 7 out of 10. It is a really good start to a series, but it is the start to a series. That being said, it is engaging, and once you get into it, you're going to stay into it all the way through the end. And he does such a good job with the twists and turns. You don't even see the twist at the end coming, and it is so good. And these characters are so relatable and just memorable that you're going to love them from the beginning. Something that I definitely recommend you read in between books like Brent Weeks' The Lightbringers or George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones or A Song of Ice and Fire. If you guys haven't already read those, I know most of you people probably have already read them, but who knows? Maybe some people are behind the curve. That's it for this book review. Thanks for watching. If you guys liked me doing this sort of thing, go ahead and like this video and comment down in the comment section of other books that you either think I should read or books that I might have already read that you would like to see these quick little book reviews for. If you want to see spoiler reviews, let me know, and I will give detailed reviews of these books that I'm reading as well, and keep those in a separate playlist, so that if you don't want spoilers, you won't see them. Also, if you're not already, go ahead and follow me on Twitter. I will post the link in the description down below. I post random pictures of my dogs, sometimes my cats, and I ask questions about things about this channel, whether it be food you would like me to cook, or books you would like me to read, or even I might take other suggestions, maybe shows you want me to watch that I haven't watched. I love going into those one season shows that people think are just cringy and seeing if I can find something good about it. So thanks, you guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.